The only thing better than getting one priest is getting two. Another one of my uncles, who has also very famous, who's been a guest on Matt Frad's show Pints with Aquinas, who is also as traveled as Father Innocent, has also been generous enough to come on my show. This is Live with the Fruncles with Father Angelus Montgomery. Ange, thanks for coming, bro.
George, good to be with you, bro.
Thanks for being on the show. Okay, so last week when we talked to Father Innocent, we discussed a little bit about the CFRs, his spiritual journey to the priesthood. Relative to that, he said he's celebrating his 20th anniversary of being a CFR. When did you join the CFRs?
So it's funny. Most of the world knows that we're triplets, right, with your mom.
Yeah.
So I was 2 minutes behind him in life, and so I joined the community 2 years after him and got ordained 2 years after him. So there's a bit of a theme of twos, and so I'm coming up on my 18th year. Then I also was coming up on my 8th year for priesthood as well.
Awesome. So you've obviously felt a strong call to the priesthood. Like Father Innocent said he felt his call around my age, around 15, 16 in high school. When did you discover that call?
Great question, bro. And it's kind of fun because it wasn't actually like that for me. You'll love this, and your audience will probably love this too. Because Father Innocent discerned to be a priest, I made the excuse in high school that thank God I didn't have to be then. And so I literally remember to myself, be like, well, God, there's no way God's calling both of us. So I went to college. I had a beautiful girlfriend. I wanted to be the White House press secretary. That's why you mentioned in your intro being on Matt Frad's show. That was the closest I was ever think I was going to get, because it was just like random stuff you wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
And that was just kind of fun for me. But I played football. We did the sports thing. I enjoyed being in college, being kind of a normal kid, right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't until some different things were in place late in college that I recognized that I hadn't really asked the Lord authentically and genuinely what he wanted for me. And I think that would maybe be interesting for especially the young men that listen to your podcast. Like, have ever asked him? Have we ever taken a second and said, Lord, like, what do you want for my life? And as soon as I did that as a junior in college, I felt things start to shift in my life, and recognizing that, like, wow, what if the Lord was calling me to this deeper call and this deeper way to serve him? And it was kind of fun from there, because I remember then going to seminary back in Nebraska after I went to college, and then me and Father Innocent did that mission trip when we were in college to visit the Missionaries of Charity in New York. And that's when we did mission. I think was a big part of my story, like, and especially for young men, like, what are you going to do to serve, to recognize those who need help? And we were doing that in New York, and it felt a beautiful, like, sense that, hey, what if this would be my whole life? And so things just kind of started to happen after that. And but I started like, hey, great, he can do that, I don't have to. And it's kind of laughable to see that now, because it's like, oh, the Lord did have a plan. But
and I think that's especially important in today's day and age, because our society, it's all focused on me and what do I want and when do I want it.
Yeah.
We never, like, our society never encourages, well, why don't you just stop, ask God for guidance.
Mm-hmm.
What does he want?
Yep.
And put his wants before what you think you need.
Yep.
What you think is best for your life.
And hey, bro, that's so well said. And I think it's one of those things too, to add to that, like, who is leading your life, right? Is the world leading you? Is expectations of other people leading you? Is who's telling you what you should do, right? And is it the Lord's going to be a part of that conversation or not? And I think that's the fun part. Like, yeah, I want the Lord to be a part of the conversation. Then we can be led and be guided, right? But I think, to your point, I wonder how many young people, teenagers today, are asking that question and saying, Lord, I want you to guide my life. It's a great question.
Yeah. And as years have gone on, in the church, we've experienced a shortage of conversion to the priesthood. We need more priests.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, a couple weeks ago, I was at the Steubenville Youth Conference. Check out the vlog. What they did was an altar call, and they said any young man who feels a calling to the priesthood, please come forward and receive a blessing. And I was actually genuinely surprised that a lot of people actually came forward.
Totally right.
So I feel like I feel like that the priesthood is going to receive a resurgence and more, and we're going to actually have a lot more.
Well, let me
Priests
bless
this
you,
year.
bro, because I think there's young guys like you who are not only open to the priesthood, but open to being a disciple of the Lord at a young age. Because before you're called to be a priest, you're called to be a disciple,
Yeah.
and you're called to do exactly what you're trying to encourage people to do, it was to follow the Lord, make the Lord an important part of their daily life, right? And if I could ask, as you know, George, I was the vocation director for our community for 7 years before my current role. And what I always used to tell guys, particularly, is just because you feel called to marriage doesn't mean you're not called to be a priest. I think some guys can use an excuse like, well,
Yeah.
oh no, I feel called to marriage. So they're like, okay, first of all, that's a good thing, and second of all, that doesn't necessarily mean, because of my story, right?
Yeah.
I felt called to be free. I felt called to be married, but it doesn't necessarily that I'm
You're not
that I'm
called.
called to be a priest. So if you're in high school, to at least give yourself some space to ask the question. I don't know. I mean, what most guys probably listen to that are probably like a little afraid, right?
Yeah.
And I get that, right? But
Yeah.
I think that it takes courage to ask the question. And I think that's what you're saying is like, hey, could we stop long enough to say, hey, what is God doing with my life?
Yeah.
And to bless the fear, but also to call guys to be courageous. Like, you can ask that question. Don't be afraid of the question.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent stuff. So now I wanted to ask a question that I get a lot from my friends. As you know, I'm in high school. I'm going to hang out. I'm not all my friends are going to be Catholic anymore. I'm running into a lot of questions
Yeah.
about my faith, and one of them they're asking me is why is the Catholic Church the one true church? Like that's that's $1 million question.
Yeah.
But what's your take on that?
Yeah, bro. So again, even as friars, as you know this, even a lot of people we serve are not Catholic, right? Or we serve a lot of people who love the Lord, believe in the Lord, and we encounter a lot of different people in different walks of life, right? And so the good we want to first say, when we connect and rejoice with relationships with people who know the Lord, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
We can talk about the scriptures, right? We can talk about the person of Jesus, how he loves us, how he wants to be in a relationship with us, even if people aren't Catholic, which is really good. But bro, like, as we know, and again, my thought on it would be not necessarily heady academic thought, but a thought that just says, hey, like, I think the church offers more. I think when it comes to the sacramental life of the church, that's going to be the foundation of what we offer to the world. You don't just get to find Jesus in the scriptures; you get to find him in the Eucharist, right? You don't just get to wonder, hey, what should my moral teaching and reality be? Hey, the church offers a way to be holy and a way to be happy in the moral life, right? So you can kind of, and then we have a tradition that reveals to us, hey, we have people who take care of us, like the Holy Father, people who can be in charge and who can guide us in the midst of, like, as you know, like a world that, hey, what are we doing? People don't know what to do, right? And so I think my very basic, very simple answer is what the church offers, no one else offers. Can I tell a quick story?
Yes, you may.
We have a he's an older man who's in our neighborhood, and he wasn't Catholic. He just became Catholic, thank God. But his journey into the faith, he's in his like 70s, and he sat me down one day, and he said, Father Angelus, I am terrified to die. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting thing to be terrified. And he's like, you have to do something. He said, I'm terrified of my sin. I can't believe I've done these things in my life. What's going to happen when I die and meet the Lord and all this stuff? And he was going on and on. His name was Stephen. And Stephen said, I said, Stephen, the gift of the Catholic Church is that we have something to offer you so you don't have to be afraid when you die. And he said, what do you mean? I was like, you just named all these things you're afraid of in your sin. I was like, what if I told you that Jesus could forgive your sin? And he blew him away. Because we have confession, he has the ability to have confidence that his sins are forgiven. 3 years later, he's Catholic, and he still goes to confession every month, and he's not doing well. He's sick, but he's not afraid anymore. So, like, concretely, George, like, that's what we offer, is that I don't have to be afraid to die. I don't have to be afraid of my sin, and Jesus can actually come and be with me in the midst of what seems to be a life that is suffering, right?
Yeah, I whenever I get that question, like, well, are you afraid to die? I'm like, not really.
I mean, I'm
Like,
young. I don't want to die.
I'm young. I don't want to die, but I'm not. Am I afraid per se? No, I'm not really afraid.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's because I was a cradle Catholic. I've received all the sacraments of this point, besides like Marriage Holy
Yeah,
Orders,
yeah,
of
yeah.
course. But yeah, it's like I'm not afraid because I know that I'm my heart's in his hands. He knows my soul,
Yeah.
and if I'm in the state of grace,
Yeah.
in the state of sanctifying grace, I will be with him in heaven one day.
Yeah, and I have a relationship with him. You talk about sanctifying grace. Sanctifying grace is this active experience of being in a relationship with Jesus. Like he's with me always. I love that. Everything is in his hands. Like how many of your peers can actually take a deep breath in their life and be like, my life is in his hands. You're like, whoa. And that's what it's beautiful, bro. You're just trying to be a witness of that. That's awesome.
And just going back to the question, like, what's our justification that the church is the one true church? You can. This is not just from any the biased Catholic source. You can just look this up on Google. If you look, where did the Catholic Church originate? It says the Catholic Church originated with Jesus Christ in 33 A.D. After the resurrection. If you can go through every Protestant denomination, it says, "Oh, we started by Martin Luther, John Calvin, Joseph Smith." I don't care. But they're all men. They're all just mortal men.
Mm.
The Catholic Church was started by the divine Prince of Peace himself.
Yeah.
So,
bro, it's so sweet, right?
Yeah.
What great confidence we can have that, regardless of the messiness of the church and the drama of the church, is like, no,
we're all sinners.
Yeah, and it can be confusing time, but whatever. But like the reality that Jesus gave us the gift of the church.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, the gift didn't come from anywhere else, right? But the Lord.
Yeah.
And the gift that the Holy Spirit at Pentecost, and that's sweet. And bro, it's great to see you getting excited about that. We don't have to go anywhere else. There's no other answer, right?
There's no other answer.
There's no other answer. It's just in the church that Jesus gives us.
Excellent stuff. Well, Father, appreciate
Thanks,
you
bro.
having on the show.
It's good to be with you.
Yep. Tune in next time on Live with the Fruncles, and go hit that subscribe button.